Hi, I'm Wayne Madsen, and you're listening to the Falcons Nest podcast.
I'm Lewis Reese, and you're listening to Falcons Nest podcast.
I'm Anuj Dal, and you're listening to the Falcons Nest podcast.
Welcome back to the Falcons Nest podcast. I'm here with Wayne Madsen.
Hey, Samit, how are we doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good.
You? Yeah.
Excellent. Looking forward to the upcoming T20 season starting.
It should be very, very exciting.
I think one of the things for us is to obviously chat about our rivalry and what we've had over the last, probably this will be 17 seasons. A few playing together, but obviously a lot of it has been against each other. And some, I've been on the wrong side of a lot of them, should we say. But they've always been competitive, our games, and our matchups have in all of the games, we've sort of, it's been you versus me a lot of the time, just because of our roles and where we sort of fit in terms of where you bowl and where I've batted, and so it's always been a good challenge.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever been a dull moment, to be honest. I think that we've always had a bit of cat and mouse, and I think we've always played the way true to ourselves, to be honest. If you ask me, like, I'm trying to outdo you and you're trying to outdo me, and from a bowling perspective, you're trying to hit me in areas where I'm not expecting you to hit it, and I'm expecting you to hit it in areas that you don't want to hit it. So there's always a sweep, there's always a reverse sweep, or there's always a slog sweep coming at some point. It's just when Wayne wants to do it is the question.
Yeah, and that was like, you mix up I think for me, like how you mix up every ball, it was never like stock ball all the time. So I had to be ahead of that, and that cat, as you say, like it was the cat and mouse that we had, and we always had. I had to try and get inventive against you, but then try and also develop the sort of the power game and hitting from the crease. That probably changed things a little bit for me, especially against playing against you. When you take the pace out of it, I could then bash you back over your head instead of like just going to the sweeps in reverse. Every now and again trying to look to that short boundary at Trent Bridge and try and hit you over extra cover and find a way to get you over there. And I knew bowling at you, which didn't happen very often, but I had to be like at the stumps, because if I wasn't, I was going into that short stand. That was where you were looking to hit me all the time.
Talking about that short stand, it actually had played into my favour a little bit, because I knew you had to bowl straight, especially with that short side. Yeah. So that was such a good pocket for me that if I was in any sort of trouble, I knew I'd bank on one bowler to bowl in the wheelhouse to try and get you over for 15, 20. I just, you know when you just get a feel? Yeah. I just always had the feel. I know it wasn't just you, it was everybody that played at Trent Bridge. That pocket was always there. There was always a small pocket where you played. But going back on bowling at you, I knew you were the linchpin of the Derbyshire batting, so I always try and get you out, because I knew it would just make everything else easier. But we knew if that you batted any more than 12 overs, we knew Derby would get a good score, because you just controlled. You just knew how to bat, and the skill level you have, we had to try and get you out. We didn't want to keep you in, because you'd score at a rate where we can't control you at the end. Yeah, and so that was a big thing from when we matched up, was that I had to get Mads out in the first 2 overs or I was coming off.
And I knew the same thing, that I couldn't. You were the threat. You were the wicket taker, but equally, you were the one that squeezed in the middle. So I couldn't let you squeeze. That was so I had a not, it was a not get out to you, but equally I was targeting you. Because if I could score against you and put you under pressure, it would make life easier for me. So that's how the rivalry sort of played off, I suppose. Between, I think it was probably for me playing against Knots, my roles were a lot against you and Mull. Facing his pace off in the middle, and how I played him and how I played you were the two keys to how we would do in terms of getting a score. But obviously not just me, but for my specific role was you were the key in terms of if we were going to get a good score or not, and trying to take you down at least in 1 over and put you under the pump, and maybe then push you to the back end or something like that.
Hence why I said if I didn't get you in the first 2 overs, I was coming off, because I said to Reedy that in the first 2 overs I normally get a gauge, and if it was gripping a little bit, then I knew we were in the game.
It's different.
But obviously Mull was always in the game there. Yeah. But I was only coming on to get you out, because I knew you also had to score at a rate like you said and not get out. So the risk and reward are pretty high there.
Yeah.
So you only have 20 overs to bat and you've got to score runs, and that's your job. But yeah, it was just targeting one bloke, and I said to our lads that I'd target Mads every single game.
And so for me, it was trying to, and I knew you would protect a short boundary. That you bowl well to it, you still do. You go wide, or you'd go straight, depending on where that short boundary is. And I would be aiming to hit that short boundary and finding a way to get it there. But also then, I think certainly from in the last sort of, 7-8 years, was finding different areas over the keeper, those sort of things. Especially here, playing at home, it was different for me, because when I faced you, I could pick up the sweeps, it would race away, like behind, even get little deflections over the keeper, and then your men would come find us. So it was trying to, and then I could get my hard sweep, which was my hard sweep was the go-to, and at Trent Bridge as well.
Absolutely.
Like if you were bowling, especially if you were not the Pavilion side, what's the other one? Ratcliffe Road, yeah. Ratcliffe Road, and if you're bowling from that side, that short boundary that side, and you had to cover angles with your fielders, so you couldn't have them too fine. I could get a sweep away, so you had to be square. But then your cow, he had to come square, because my shot was that hard sweep that raced across the outfield there. If I could hit it across the square in the outfield, it was 4. But equally, it was taking the risk, because you're trying to get me LB, you're trying to fire it under the bat. It was like that cats and mouses. If
I was running to you at Ratcliffe Road, and everyone, if you noticed, would have to be. I had to give you a slog sweep.
Yes.
To protect the sweep.
But you try and go underneath me with the slog sweep.
I always have a theory at Trent Bridge, just go under the bat at Trent Bridge, because it's so true.
Yes.
If you don't get under the bat at Trent Bridge, you go for 10 more runs than over as a spinner, because it's so true.
Yeah, it is.
And it's so small. You just had to find a way. Exactly,
and then for me it was like trying to adjust to that, and can I go back over your head? Because I'd leave the long side. The long side.
I know.
Yeah, you can. Doesn't matter. You can put whoever you want that side, but I'm going that side and maybe straight.
Yeah.
That was where I was aiming to target you. Whereas here I played a bit different. And I think initially what I would try and do, once I'd shown you the reverses, it was but it was also to hit the twos into mid-wicket.
The twos. I knew you were trying to run twos, because I'd have to get a good fielder out mid-wicket, because I knew you'd just try and rob the strike. So I was like, keep Mads off the strike and bowl at somebody else, and then that way you get a little bit annoyed.
I actually remember a game here where I think I got you for 3 or 4 twos in a row, and then I got run out next ball. I was so shattered. I would knock one in, and Reedy picked up and hit direct.
Oh, really?
You remember?
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember that, no.
Yeah, no, Reedy hit direct. But I think I got you for 3 or 4 twos in a row, and you were screaming at the boys on the boundary.
I was like,
but it was a long boundary out. I remember it being a long boundary out that way. And I just, I would get, there was no spin, and I was able to just get you, flick it onto the ring. You couldn't get there, they couldn't get there, and it was just, and I was trying to just get them in to be able to go back over their heads.
The spinner's nightmare to that twos, and then you get a nick for 4. It's just like you've just gone for 10. It's like pulling your hair out.
No, it is.
Especially if in your head you're not thinking that you're not
bowled a good
over. Yeah. So, but that sort of stuff is a really good thing to mention, even for our boys.
Yeah.
Is twos are really important.
Yes.
Not just the boundaries.
Yeah. And especially we
if you get the big side here.
Yeah. And the outfield here can be a bit bobbly and tricky to field on. So putting guys under pressure. But I think one thing for me is that you always rocked up against us. You always rocked up. It was the derby game between us and you found a way to come to the party. If there was someone in your team who would stand up in the games we played, the big games against us, it was you.
Yeah, there was a special rivalry between Notts and Derby, and there still is. Notts and Derby will always be a massive rivalry in any sport. Football.
Yeah, it's the traditions go back.
Of Derby football, Nottingham football, Nottingham cricket, Derby cricket. There's been some great players on either side. That'll always be there. And going on that, we knew that coming to Derby on a Friday night, we knew that who'd get the most stick would be Samit. So I kind of I preyed off that because I wanted it because it actually made me play a lot better. And especially against Derby, going to field on the boundary, you know you're going to get it. It's just the way it is. You guys come to us, you know you're going to get it. It made me play a lot better, to be honest. But that rivalry switched last year. And we managed to drill knots in a good way.
Yeah, for the first time in a while.
Yeah, but that's in a good way because it showed that I still have the passion to play good quality, tough cricket, regardless of where I played before. I'd always want to beat them. And I always want to win. So, yes, 22 years at Trent Bridge, but my first year at Derby, we turned over knots. And I reckon that was a good statement to everybody saying that I've still got the burning desire to win cricket games wherever I play. And I think that should roll onto our squad. That should have sent a message to our squad that Samit's not here to mess about. Like we're here to win, and I don't care who we play.
Yeah, exactly.
And I wanted that to be a message. So hopefully I did that. And this year, when they turn up again, because in past years when we've turned up at Derby, we thought we'd won 70% before we played. Yeah. And I don't know why that is. I can't put it on it.
Yeah,
but we turned up and we knew we had to get Mads out, and if we got Mads out, he'd just capitulate.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching that game, that tied game, and how we threw that one away.
I couldn't believe my breath.
Yeah, no, it was the most incredible game of cricket. I was watching from the top. I had my injury that year, so I unfortunately wasn't playing.
Yeah.
We had that game wrapped up with 5 overs to go.
Easy.
Needing, I don't know, was it 17 runs with 5 wickets
5 in the
hand.
hatch. And I was like, this game, we were like, we're done here.
And how we nearly lost it by 5 runs and then tied it. It was just the most incredible game of cricket. But there's I mean, we know in professional sport there's different pressures and there's different things that come into it. The psychological factors are massive. And I think there probably was. Well, there was in terms of us not being able to beat you. There was obviously some psychological factors involved there. It wasn't just the skill element because we had guys who could win games 100%. Of cricket. But I mean, because I look at and we hammer a team like Leicester, and I look like the next game, and you get hammered by Leicester the following game. It's like it doesn't add up.
No.
It's so the psychology of it at times is huge.
Especially in a T20 format, which is short. Like you can't get a session, like you can't get 10 overs back in a T20 game. No. You can get it back in a 4-day game, or maybe in a 50-over game, but you can't get it back in a T20 game. So that's why level playing fields are, from the get-go, anyone can beat anybody, and that's the great result.
If you're on it, if you're off it, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're off it, another team or a player can win a game in T20s. It's not quite the same in the longer format. You need everyone to contribute, or a big part of that is everyone contributing. But it's that the 2020. It does the factor involved, but like we say, that's the psychological side of things, and for us last year, that win here was crucial in sort of snuffing that out for us as a team.
Well, we should have actually done the double over him, to be honest. Yeah. We should have beat him at Trent Bridge.
I'm Pat Brown, and you're listening to the Falcons Nest podcast. The rivalry returns to the county ground on Friday the 6th of June as the Falcons take on Notts Outlaws. Get your tickets now.
So just looking back on last year and the result that we had here against Notts, you coming in, taking over the captaincy, having an impact not just with your performances but around the team, around the attitude of the team, and we saw that in that game. The atmosphere, the crowd was just electric. Up there with if not the best I've ever had here. To win a game against Notts here, you're always going to have a decent atmosphere around, but that was truly special. Yeah, no, it was, and I want more of it. So what I want the crowd to be. I've said it last year in the press that I want the crowd. I want to feel like we're at home, and sometimes when you come here, you don't feel like Derby are actually at home because the crowd is so sparse. They're so spread out.
is that there's no cult following, and I want us to be more louder. I want our crowd to be like, Christ, these guys are on. Once we're on top, we know that the crowd are with us, and I want that feeling of boys knowing that the crowd are right behind us, winning or losing. They're right there with us, and I want us to be loud. I don't want us to be nice. I said that last year.
I actually think having this new stand here is going to have an impact as well. The atmosphere, you can feel. I know exactly what you say. At times in T20 games, it can be flat, but when the atmosphere is going, it is. To be out there and you hear the crowd, it really gives us that extra lift, and that is something that certainly is going to pick us up this year. I think the stand is going to do a lot for that as well, just to keep a lot of the atmosphere in the sort of the field and the area. So yeah, it's a big part of it, and I promise you, as like we've spoken about it at length. But the impact that it has when you're out there and you can hear that buzz, as opposed to when it's a bit edgy and you maybe the crowd go a little bit into their shells because of it. That's, as players, that's when you need a little bit more. And I suppose we take responsibility in trying to drum that up, and we can do that. And that's something that you do particularly well. You fire the crowd up, not just when you're bowling, but there's always something special with a bat. You're going to do something in the game that's going to get everyone lifted up. And as you said, we've spoken about it with the boys more about doing that and lifting the crowd, and that comes through our performances. And obviously our responsibility to start that off and to get it going. And we felt it last year, and we're going to feel it even more this year.
Absolutely. I just think that we need, as players, we need the crowd. I play off the crowd.
Yeah.
So my best performances have come off the crowd.
Yeah.
So I used to call Trent Bridge my 12th man. They were my 12th man. I want that feeling at Derby, because then you do things that you don't think you can do. Like if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That you just don't. There's no limits, and you just going with the flow of the wave, and you're just moving.
Yeah. And I think for us, last season, having you come in, we saw that, and I certainly saw it in the group thriving in that winning mentality that you have, and learning from you and how you drive that passion. So that's for us been a key. You coming in as a leader and showing us and sort of grabbing the bull by the horns in that respect and taking us forward in that way. And I think that's going to be really exciting for us again. And also now you've got more of an understanding of the group.
Correct.
The first year, you're still learning about your teammates, and there's still that element of the team developing. And let's be honest, we know we should have gone further than we did. With the team that we had and the way we played for a lot of the competition, we should have gone further than we did. And that's what makes this season so exciting.
Absolutely. I just think that we need to start faster.
Yeah.
So we need to start playing it in consistent cricket and start playing, instead of reactive cricket, proactive cricket. So that means start faster in the group stage. We're aggressive, battle ball, and yeah, I am going to have a lot more expectation of the boys, to be honest. I'm going to expect skills to be nailed from ball one.
Yeah.
And we're here to try and win a comp. And the belief in our dressing room should be that if blokes can, as I said, we ride the wave, we take it on, take responsibility. That's what I'm after. I'm not after inconsistent win one, lose one. I'm after 4 in a row, 2 in a row.
Yeah.
Having a break, we come back and we win again. And we set the tone, whatever we do, really well. And it makes everybody else's role in the team so much easier if we set that tone.
And we got a special young cricketer coming and joining us as well. Because Ampha's going to be great to play with. I think he's obviously got a bright future ahead, and he hasn't been seen a lot by players in this country. So for us, that's a wild card, an X factor for us. So that's going to be exciting, and exciting for you to captain him as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been speaking to Jonathan Trott 2-3 times a week, and Trotty's like, he said, mate, the bloke's a jet. He's going to tear it apart in the blast. So what the footage I've seen, I've not faced him, but the footage I've seen, he looks like a bit of a player, to be honest. And trump card, if you ask me, no one's seen him. Mystery spin, Afghanistani, a lot of reputation on him. He's got a good rep. Been at Mumbai Indians. Look, he's got everything. Is the final piece to our jigsaw, if you ask me. It's exactly what we needed. I'm looking forward to it. Everybody else should be excited. We can just roll with him. And yeah, we're ready to go. Yeah, well, we're looking forward to a really exciting T20 Blast, and as we've said, our expectation levels are really high in terms of aiming to win this trophy. Absolutely. Thanks, Diggs. Cheers, mate.